Picture this scenario. You are in a GameStop looking for your next Nintendo Switch game. You're fresh off that newly 2-week pay stub and you're feeling a little freaky with the games today, and no diddy. You go over to the red section and start pulling out red spines, and the first game you pull out is Mario RPG. $59. Kind of crazy for a 2-year-old game, but whatever. Next game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. $59. A little newer, I can understand that, but still, you know, we think it'd be like $49 by now, but whatever. Zelda Breath of the Wild. $59. Goddamn, this was a launch title. How was this still? ARMS, $59. Splatoon 2, $59. Echoes of Wisdom, $59. Nintendo Switch Sports, $59. Donkey Kong Returns, $59. Oh, damn, just looking at it gave you an overdraft fee. It is no secret that Nintendo is notorious for having all of their games listed at their full retail pricing, no matter how old or how new they are, and they rarely ever have sales for these games. And when they do, they're rarely even sales. Like the most recent one, some of those games only offer like $10 or $20, which in this economy isn't really shit. And no matter how much I complain or anyone that plays these games religiously over the price tag, it's not really going to change anytime soon. So it's really important to understand why Nintendo charges these games the way they do and what they hope to gain from it from a casual fan's perspective. So the first and most obvious reason for not even just Nintendo charging these prices, but for any business out there that charges, you know, ridiculous prices like Apple and whatnot, is because people are gonna buy for those prices. I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the day one sales that a lot of these new Nintendo games are having, like Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Its first month they sold 4 million copies, so that was just insane. Nintendo has built so much of a core fan base, not just from the past 20-30 years of them making video games, but also with them now reaching into other, you know, mainstream markets like their movies and whatnot. So we have so many new generations of kids just begging their parents to get these games, and, you know, their parents, you know, caving to their kids' needs. And then even on a personal note, from a content creator like myself, sometimes I personally feel like I should get these games on day one just to talk about them for content, since I know a lot of my audience likes to talk about, you know, Nintendo things. So that's a little bit of a pressure on my side of things, but for the average person, they just see these games as being worth that price tag, so they're going to pay it, and Nintendo, they're going to charge it. But that's just really an easy cop-out answer. Going to the deep root of the problem, if you can call it that, is that Nintendo has some sought-after IP that people are gonna play regardless. They have some of the best gaming mascots that even people that don't game, you know, can recognize. Think of Mario, Zelda, Princess Peach. Even the damn kids now that didn't even grow up with Planet Robobot know who Kirby is just from Smash Bros. Like, they have an insane lineup. And again, Nintendo being the business they are, always trying to stay in their own lane and, you know, take advantage as much as they can, they're gonna charge for these sort of their IPs that people know they're gonna buy. And even an added bonus to how Nintendo does business, in an age where exclusive games to consoles is a dying thing and we're seeing so many ports from different systems onto other systems, and even on PC we can play all this shit now, Nintendo is remaining to having actual exclusives where you need their hardware to play it. Legally, but we'll talk about this some other time. So having games that require you to have a specific console, it bow ties the whole idea of having worthwhile games while also tying in, you know, the need of a worthwhile console being the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 in this case. So, you know, it drives sales on both ends. And for the next reason, I think it's kind of subjective to if you like Nintendo games, but I feel like a lot of Nintendo games, especially some of their older titles, are really evergreen, meaning that they can be played at any point in time. They won't feel dated. The control schemes are amazing. That's why they have so many freaking ports and remasters, since they know that these games are so good, and bringing them to the latest hardware like the recent Donkey Kong Returns HD is obviously going to be a huge sale. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where you can't pick up a game like Mario Galaxy and not have fun playing, no matter how many times that you've played it, like myself. These games feel timeless, they feel familiar, control schemes that anyone can pick up and understand. They don't have like dated content in them that'll make it feel a little, you know, yesteryear, like a game like Grand Theft Auto 4, playing that in 2025. It can obviously be fun enjoying a game that was based around 2008, but at the end of the day, some people, they just want a more modern experience, and Nintendo's games, they just give you a good experience no matter when you're playing them. And then, putting video games aside, from a logistics standpoint, cartridges and physical gaming is kind of dying out right now, since most games are downloaded digitally, and cartridges that Nintendo Switch games come on are really expensive to print out, which is why, you know, we have a limited supply run of a lot of these new Nintendo games, and most of them are trying to get you to download on the Nintendo eShop. But as committed as Nintendo is and have been to bring their games to physical cartridges, the cold hard truth of it all is that eventually, you know, we may not see an age where cartridges or physical discs are going to be a thing thing anymore for Nintendo, and we just have downloads being the main way of obtaining these games, because not only does it cost a lot of money, but it also is just an inconvenience when these games get bigger in file size. And those are really all the logical and, factual standpoints of why Nintendo, have their games always so expensive. But another business tactic that might separate Nintendo's core fans from Nintendo's mindset, Nintendo wants to look as premium as a business as humanly possible. I know, just bear with me. Nintendo knew as early as the GameCube era that they couldn't compete with the likes of Xbox and PlayStation when it comes to graphics, so they had to separate themselves from just having a bunch of really cool games and really unique hardware that brought in the masses. So that's what they doubled down on in the Wii era, and we're just gonna skip that console. But when they got to Nintendo Switch, that's when they really doubled down on trying to, take their games and IPs and their hardware and look as different as possible. So with these exclusive full prices, they want to forge into the consumer's head that they're playing an exclusive and really high demand game that warrants this full price tag. They know that they're offering an experience that you can't get anywhere else with their first party games legally, so with this mental tactic, they're going to live up to their name of being the richest Japanese company in the world and charge what they want to for these games. And that's all I got for today, man. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.